We're on the eve of Zootopia 2, and as I look upon my collection of plastic bunnies, foxes, and sloths, I can't help but wonder, why is this collection so small? Yes, hello, my fairy tale things, and welcome to the least seen corner of my toy room, the Disney corner, or more accurately, the Zootopia corner. Because I was just not a big Disney kid growing up, so I don't really have any nostalgia for those movies. I was a Shrek kid through and through. But in 2016, Disney released Zootopia, the film that I had been waiting all of my childhood for. A Disney film with a bit of edge. A Disney film that had teeth to it, with deep, dark themes. The type of movie that really made you think when you left the theater. I instantly fell in love with the world of Zootopia and wanted to collect it in action figure form. And I collected my favorite pieces of the Tomy Zootopia line, which I have covered the history of on this channel. Watch that video if you're curious. But in the years since, I've added the occasional Nick and Judy figure to the display, and that's about it. I'm surprised at how little Disney has made for a movie that grossed $1 billion. I mean, this is Disney, for God's sake, a company that merchandises literally everything. And the few things we have gotten are like Loungefly, women's clothing, fine collectibles, but I'm an action figure guy, and I want my action figures. Now, about 6 years ago, we did get some collector Zootopia action figures of Nick and Judy. I didn't buy them at first and quickly regretted it, so I did track them down a few years ago, and I'm very lucky to have these in my collection, because now that we've seen Zootopia 2, Nick and Judy are having significant design changes, which tells me that they missed the boat on making tons of merchandise of them in their classic costumes. I have a feeling that all of the new merch is going to be exclusively based on Zootopia 2. This means that the Revoltech 6-inch action figures of Nick and Judy are, to date, the only collector action figures aimed at adults of the characters. Extremely surprising, given the film's crossover appeal with adult enthusiast animation fans. And so today, ahead of the Zootopia 2 toys, I thought it would be interesting to take one last look back at what many consider the best Nick and Judy action figures ever made. And are they still worth it in 2025? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. But I love these figures, so I'm never going to pass up an excuse to talk about them again. So let's check out the Revoltech Nick and Judy action figures, aka the best Zootopia figures ever made. Okay, so I should introduce these figures properly. These are the Kyoto Revoltech Movie Complex figures. And if you haven't guessed by the name, yes, these are Japanese. So you had to get them imported in the US, and they had 2 releases, I believe. I bought these in between the first and second release, which was when these were by far the toughest to find, especially Nick. Judy, I bought during Christmas time. I saved up all my money and purchased her. And then, no joke, one day after she arrived, Nick Wilde was listed on eBay. I had been looking for Nick for some time, and the only Nick listed was part of a lot that it came with not 1, but 2 other Judys. So now I'm in triple bunny trouble. And get this, the price of Nick and the 2 Judys was roughly what I paid for just the 1 Judy. So yes, as a collector, it does pay to have some patience. However, I am glad I own 3, because as you can see, they are very expressive and they have very unique head sculpts. So this is a figure that having multiples can be a plus of. So you don't need me to say it, the detail, the paint apps, everything on this is just top notch. They look like the animation models leaped off of the screen and into plastic form. Simply put, these are some of not just the best Zootopia figures ever made, but some of the best cartoon figures ever made. And I want to illustrate a larger point here, because I want to show you Puss in Boots. You may have spotted them already in the background, carded, but this is my beloved Puss in Boots figure from the Shrek 2 toy line. Now, is it fair at all to compare a expensive collector figure imported from Japan to a very cheaply made figure from a major toy company like Hasbro? No, it is not. But I don't care, I'm going to do it anyways. The point is, we need more adult collector figures of animated CG characters. Movies like Zootopia and Shrek are family movies. Yes, kids really love them, but family means adults are also there. There are lots of moms and dads that take their kids to see these movies, that collect action figures and that like these characters, and would love to have premium figures. I mean, how great would a Puss in Boots figure in the style of this Nick and Judy be? Like, after the popularity of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, I definitely could see that. And no better figure illustrates my point more than the NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures, which are also cartoon anthropomorphic figures aimed at adult audiences, just like this figure. So here's Mona Lisa, the salamander from the Ninja Turtles cartoon, and she is like Judy in the sense that it's a collector figure with multiple limbs and heads. And I want to switch the heads on Mona Lisa here just to show a point with the Judy figure. So we take Mona Lisa, right? And her arm comes off with a lot of tugging. Okay, so switching Mona Lisa's hand to a closed fist proved exceedingly difficult, and as I tugged on it, it felt like the plastic was going to snap at any moment. Even the head, it always feels like it's going to break at some point when I switch the head. But there you have her, right? Judy Hopps does not have this problem at all. Despite Judy having some very spindly limbs here, I mean, look how fragile it looks. Look at the tiny hands. The hands pop off with literally no resistance, unlike that Mona Lisa figure. And the closed fist goes right in with a little snap. NECA does not have that with their adult collector figures. They always feel like they're gonna break. And this Judy does not suffer from any of the problems I have had with most of the adult collector figures I've bought. Switching Judy's head is also relatively simple because it's on these face plates and not a full new head. This is really cool. It saves on tooling, so they don't have to make the back of the head again, and the bunny ears don't have to be remade again, which is great because they're actually articulated. We can flop them down if we'd like. And then the new head literally just fits right in there, and it clicks with no problem. I have switched these heads a ton for different photo shoots, and I have never had a problem with them at all. Something else really cool about the head is you can pop it off, and check out the eyes. So on these little sockets, it's almost like having a stop-motion puppet. It just is so amazing. You can position the eyes any which way. You can have them go like all wonky and all over the place. Oh my, Judy has had too much cider, we'll say, in Zootopia too. I mean, this is a family movie after all. A bit too much cider there. But yeah, you could have a lot of fun with these figures. There's a neutral Judy, a sly Judy that seems to be an exact recreation of the iconic "It's Called a Hustle" sweetheart scene, a scared Judy, and one face that can only be described as hyper-caffeinated Judy Hopps, judging by the big bunny leap into the air here. And yeah, Nick is a little worried about how much caffeine Judy has had to drink. Yes, Judy does come with that cool stand, by the way, which is pretty basic for all Revoltech releases, but it's especially appreciated for Judy, so Hopps can get her hops in. The final face included is a sad, pouting Judy, which is perfect if you want to recreate the scene from the end of the movie, where Judy apologizes to Nick. My favorite is the sly face, though. You can perfectly recreate the scene where Judy hustles Nick, complete with the included carrot pen recorder accessory. The carrot pen recorder is extraordinarily tiny, however. I'd always recommend displaying it when not in use in Judy's hand, because this thing can get lost in an accessory bin so easily. Of course, that's not to say you shouldn't have fun with Judy Hopps. This is the type of collector figure that is first and foremost for playing and photography. I've had so much fun over the years taking goofy photos with this Judy. There's practically nothing she can't and won't do. She is just one wild rabbit. And for what it's worth, here's Judy compared with some of the other figures made over the years. The Tomy figures are not particularly great, although they did make the Meter Maid outfit, which would have made for a nice variant for this one. All they had to include was an alternate vest and hat, and we would have gotten a lot more displayability. Here's the Mattel figure from 2024, a very different looking Judy that is not bad in any way. As a matter of fact, you could make the case that the uniform looks a little nicer on the Mattel figure, which has some brighter, more movie-accurate colors. But there's no questioning that the head sculpt is miles better on the Revoltech figure. Note the painted ears compared to the Mattel one, which are just completely solid gray. However, there is one key detail that really separates this Judy figure apart from the others. And that's the drooped down ears. Apart from the Meter Maid figure, the Mattel version does have articulated ears, but for some reason they can only go on their side and they cannot droop all the way down. What's the point of this articulation? Now, one interesting detail with the Revoltech Judy is the fox spray attached to her belt. A controversial decision. I thought for sure this was the only Judy figure to feature this plot-relevant detail, but the Mattel figure actually does sculpt this small can onto her belt. You can see it sculpted there. It's not painted and it's very faint, but it is there. Still, if you're looking for that detail, it is much more prominent on the Revoltech release. Still, I was impressed by the amount of detail that was in the Mattel figure compared to its high-priced adult counterpart. Next up, we've got to talk about the suave Nick Wilde, who gets an extremely excellent action figure. Actually, this is the only Nick figure to feature full Hawaiian print on his t-shirt, which surprised me. Also, the pants color are correct, as are the paws. This figure is a definitive upgrade from the other two Nicks, even though the Mattel figure is a surprisingly decent effort with a good head sculpt. There's no question that the Revoltech Nick is really cool. I also love his little sunglasses, which definitely make this a unique take on the character, compared to what we've got before. Nick's glasses stay on the character great, because there's a little peg on the side of his head where they lock in, so you actually won't lose these despite them being so small. They look cool whether they're on his face or up in the air, so unless you're using one of the alternate face expressions, I can't imagine a reason for taking these off. Also, check out the scruffy neck they've given Nick Wilde. It's such a cool sculpt. It's absolutely phenomenal. The articulation in Nick is also fantastic. His limbs aren't as thin as Judy's, and they don't feel any less fantastic. This is a figure that you can definitively play and pose with, and he's not going to break in any way. God, I wish more adult collector figures were made this nicely. Nick's paw hands are interchangeable like Judy. God, look at the detail on him. They're just phenomenal. He comes with a gripping hand, which is really cool because he can hold the carrot pin perfectly. And this allows us to recreate the iconic scene where Judy apologizes to Nick quite perfectly. And like Judy, Nick comes with some alternate head sculpts. We get a strangely happy Nick that admittedly looks a little creepy. This kind of worried Nick that comes in two varieties. The first of the worried expressions looks like he has a bug on his head that he can't seem to kill. The second head sculpt is much more dire. He looks like he just found out that Judy's gone savage, or worse. And funnily enough, the happy head is the most disturbing of all. Why does Nick look so calm and happy and pleased? It's just weird. I actually prefer to display Nick with the freaked out heads. It can create some very funny situations, and it makes the toy unique. A Playline Nick Wilde figure is never going to have a head sculpt this unique, and this captured in mid-emotion. It's wonderful. I'm continually amazed by the amount of movement and posability that these figures possess. It really feels like there's nothing they can't do. As a diehard fan, they bring the movie scenes to life and allow you to basically recreate any moment. Or better yet, create your own goofy scenes. There's nothing these figures can't do. There is no pose too extreme for these figures. They are that awesome. The Nick and Judy Revoltech figures are a unique bunch. And you can mix in some others, like the Sloth from the Mattel line, and the Gazelle doll from the Disney store I've talked about previously on the channel. Sure, she's big, but Gazelle's big from the movie, so it works out. So in conclusion, did I make this video just to gloat and brag about how much I love these figures? Well, kind of. I really like them. They weren't cheap when I bought them, but I worked really hard to get them, and I'm so glad I did. I think I can appreciate a good cartoon figure when I see it, and you can too. These figures are something that every fan of animation needs, because over the years I've had so much fun taking photos with this Nick and Judy. I would go as far to say as they're the most photogenic action figures ever created. I could literally spend hours finding new things to do with these figures. They're just so much fun. So ahead of Zootopia 2, I just wanted to remind everyone that we already got the best Zootopia figures. Although I do hope that with the sequel, we get some new figures of Nick and Judy in their new outfits that are collector friendly. Let me know what you think in the comments, and what your favorite Zootopia toys and memories of the first film are. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a happily ever after. Stop, Pink Berets, in the name of the law. For the last time, we don't know where Russell Brand is. He didn't even save us at the end of the movie. That's not while you're under arrest. Nick, remind me again while we're arresting the Pink Berets, because Hop 2011 was so bad. Trust me, Judy, justice must be served in Zootopia. Crime is out of control. Shark Tale was such a ripoff of Finding Nemo. You're under arrest. Kung Fu Panda 4 was so mid, it didn't even have the Furious 5 in it. under arrest. I didn't think Chicken Jockey was particularly funny, Mr. Black. You're under arrest. Rescue Rangers was so bad. You're under arrest. But Rescue Rangers is actually pretty good. I'm talking about the one with John Mulaney. I'll get in the car. I'd say we just saved the city of Zootopia from mid-movies. Nick, Chief Bogo just called and said that the Pink Berets have planted a bomb inside Zootopia prison. A bomb! Well, I guess you could say we brought them a box office bomb. Yeah!